Today we are unboxing this massive box. Hello and welcome to the Creative Kobold. I'm Gaira and today we are unboxing Bardsung, Legend of the Ancient Forge. Now as I remove this plastic and get started, I want to mention that this actually belongs to a good friend of mine, Dag Inge. Thank you very much for letting me do this unboxing. Now let's get into it and have a close look at the minis inside. Now, sorry that I don't get the entire box in view. This box is huge. It's literally more than half a meter in length. But let's get it open. And as always, we are here mainly to look at the miniatures and see how they can be used for D&D. We're not so much interested in the game itself. Inspire the songs, live your legend, become Bardsung. Alright. This is quite big for a reference sheet. Alright, so here we have some cardstock tiles. We're not gonna take a long look at these. I'm not gonna open these up or anything, but they definitely look like they could be used with D&D if you so wanted. Definitely some cool rooms here. Okay, now we're talking. Oh, these are all individual boxes actually. Okay, so here we have a box with what seems to be a couple of wings. And I think that is all that is miniatures related in this one. There is a set of D&D dice. So I'll just put these off to the side for now. Here we have more miniatures. And even more miniatures. I think that because of how huge this box is, I'm gonna take all the miniature stuff out and then we'll remove the box and get into it. So this is actually a Kickstarter I almost backed, but I backed out of it because I figured that there were only a few miniatures that I really wanted or really needed here, even though they all looked really cool. But let's have a closer look at these. So here we have this kind of goblin looking guy. Got a visor on his helmet there. Actually reminds me of the humanoid-sized goblins in Alter Quest a bit. I got the same style ears, and oh, he's got a knife behind his back. Very cool. But yeah, it kind of reminds me of that. Here is another one. It might be that these are just elves, like I couldn't see most of his face, I only saw that big grin. I can't see you. Kind of wanted to see the other ear, but I don't really see it. Not that important. This one got a nice bow. A fun little shoes with pointy tips there. That's cool. And there are actually 3 of that one, but only one of the first, it seems. And we have this one. Oh, here we can see the full head of one of these creatures. So the ears kind of just sticks out to the sides. That's interesting. Kind of reminds me of a race of elves in a campaign a good friend of mine, Sam, used to run. They had kind of airs like that. Didn't stick backwards, but kind of out to the side. So that's cool. He's wielding a large sword and got some heavy armor on him. This doesn't look like a very friendly race though. Also, there are 2 of that guy in here. Then we have another guy, same type of creature. Also got those pointy shoes. So that's fun. I think that might actually be blades on the tips of the shoes. And it looks like we have 6 of that character. And then we have this brute character of that same race. Huge body and even bigger armor. Also equally a sized sword. His head looks very tiny in comparison to the rest of his body. That's kind of fun. And there are 2 of that one. Then we have what looks like the heroes. I assume the orange colored ones are heroes. This one is straight up a Kenku. Wielding a knife and having a tattered cloak. That is very cool. That's a mini I would have liked to have actually. Here we have a more regular elf type character. And she is a mage of sorts. Got a nice mage staff with crystals at the end. Seems ready to shoot some magic out of it. Also, I really like her hairstyle. Like a mohawk. But becoming long and flowing down the back of her neck there. Very, very cool. Here's another mohawk character. This one seems to be a dwarf, also a lady, dual wielding a hammer and an axe. And seems to be charging into battle. That is very, very cool. I like that. I also like the backpack. I always like to see adventurers having backpacks because they do need to store those items or all that loot and all that gear somewhere. And not everyone have bags of holding, and even the bags of holding has to be somewhere. Next up is a turtle. Very cool looking turtle. I would definitely like to have this one as well. Looks very druidic. Very nice. And the last hero, also a lady, half-orc. That's cool. This looks like a cleric or a paladin, wielding a mace and a shield. I like it a lot. Also got very similar hairstyle. Again, sort of mohawk-like hairstyle, but this one just a tiny mohawk. So that's the first tray. Now for the second tray. This seems to be a dwarf, dual wielding swords, and in some heavy battle gear. She looks really cool. Very paladin-esque. Seems like we have 4 copies of that miniature. Then there's this guy. So this looks like the King of the Dwarves, dual wielding double-bladed axes. And like that, his plate armor also has a face on it, and the helmet almost looks like the Predator face. So that's fun. And he's standing on what seems to be a broken throne made of stone. Obviously just one of that guy. Then we have this character. So this looks like a dwarf spellcaster. She does have these pointy things going out the back of her head, like through the hood. And first character also had a little bit of that, so I don't know what's up with that. But there are 2 of this miniature as well. Actually, this might not be a spellcaster. This might even be a monk. Could be both. Wonder, did even the king does have that, or there it might be part of his helmet though. But yeah, 2 of the monk slash mage. And here we have another one, and this one doesn't have a helmet or anything on, so we can see that it's the hair sticking backwards. This guy is just wielding a crossbow, which is pretty awesome. These are some very nice dwarf sculpts, by the way. There are 3 of the crossbow guys. Then we have another guy here. This one is carrying a large rock, it seems. It might be a geode. It looks like it's sort of open in the front there. And he's also carrying a pickaxe. Very cool dwarf miniature. There are 2 of him. This one there are 4 of. Another very cool dwarf miniature. And again, Mohawk. She is wielding 2 axes, 1 in each hand, kind of pointing towards someone, kind of like, you're next. That's awesome. A lot of attitude here. No, there were actually 4 of the guy with the pickaxe and geode. That's cool. Alright, I think that's it for the dwarves. And we have this creepy thing. So this looks like 2 ghosts kind of combined into one. Very freaky. I do like it though. Might also be some physical abomination. It's kind of hard to say, and I haven't read the lore for the creatures. But there are 4 of it, and it definitely seems undead. And speaking of undead, this looks like a lich. Straight up. Very cool lich mini. Like how the legs just flows into these skirt. Makes it very ghost-like. Got a nice spellbook there, hanging from chains from its waist. Very, very cool. And then we have some classic earth elementals, rock monsters. Not really much to say about them. Kind of looks like they have gems or other types of stone just sticking out of the backs. Pretty cool. There's 4 of that one. Alright, now let's move on to this. First off, we have the one that dropped out earlier. This one kind of looks like a hook horror. Got hooks for hands. But it's got these huge boils on its back, and there seems to be spiders crawling out of it, out of one of them. So that is super creepy. This actually looks like a large ettercap. That's probably what it is. Ew. Like an ettercap brood mother type of thing. Look at the spiders coming out there. Creepy stuff. But yeah, definitely an ettercap. Speaking of spiders, this looks like, well, this looks like that same kind of human-sized goblin race we saw earlier, with the weird ears sticking outwards, riding on a gigantic spider. And it is a very cool sculpt. Could definitely be used for drow. That'd be cool. Oh, look at this. This is straight up a grick. Nice. Bit large in size, but very nice looking grick nonetheless. Awesome. And this is a hook horror. Oh yeah. Without a doubt. It's got like this beak that splits into 4 parts, which is interesting. Yeah, that made the hook horror more horrific. Absolutely. have this guy. This looks like a gorilla, almost. Humanoid in shape, very muscular. Got tusks that are bigger than his face, and seem to have been held captive from the looks of it. So that is definitely a miniature. Not my favorite thus far. As just not my type of miniature, really. Here we have a very bulky human-looking guy, probably an orc, I bet. And he has a ridiculous harpoon-like arrow for his mega bow. It's at the point of being quite silly. Got a nice like fur cape there, hood over his head, and there seems to be 3 of these guys. Here's a fun guy. Yes, I had to make that pun. This actually seems to be 2 kind of Myconid characters grown into one or out from one. And it looks like there used to be a skeleton that they grew out of. Human skeleton. Very nice Myconid creature. And this one is holding on to what looks like a staff that grows mushrooms as well. He looks like he's almost trying to steer them with this stick, like an oar or something. That is pretty cool. I like this one a lot. Then we have a gigantic rat. No fantasy adventure is truly a fantasy adventure if there are no rodents of unusual size. And this one is quite large. So that's very, very cool. I like it. Let's see what we have here. This looks like some kind of construct. Looks like he's made from wood, actually. But there are also parts that are metal, especially this little cylinder on the back there. Seems to be wielding some sort of chain weapon. That actually seems to be going into this cylinder on his back. He's also standing on the corpse of and face of some dude on the bottom here. And it looks to be one of those weird goblin elf-like creatures from earlier with the pointy shoes. Interesting. Not really a miniature I would want, but interesting enough. Now here we go. A classic rust monster. This is really cool. I like this. This one I would like to have quite a few of, actually. Very, very, very nice. I like it a lot. one of the original D&D creatures. Maybe some of these others are as well, even though I might not know it. And here we go. Here we have an ogre. Honestly though, I prefer ogres to be like more bestial, with like the large weird snout featured heads that they used to have in at least 3rd edition, because these very human looking ogres basically just smaller hill giants. I like the 3rd edition design they had. Of course this isn't D&D at all, so you know, but it's actually D&D. Cool stuff. And here we have an Etin. He's got some weird blade contraption, almost looks like a strange scissor connected to one of his wrists, and then hanging from his other wrist is basically just a big stone tied to a rope or chain, possibly. Yeah, it looks like a chain. Got two very different faces. One looks angry and one looks dumb. Very typical for Etins. And a huge pauldron on one side. And a big belly. Like that's a bear belly. And here is a tiny gelatinous cube. This is very small for a gelatinous cube, but it works. This one they've given like a mouth though, which I find unnecessary. And here is some poor adventurer, and it looks like he is not having a good time. He looks like he's still alive and slowly being dissolved inside the gelatinous cube. But yeah, fun. Here we have another of those tusk-like brutes. I guess this is an orc. So I guess this also was an orc, but just huge in size. Comparatively huge. Large in size in D&D terms. But yeah, so I guess these are orcs. This one is kind of leaping forward. It's okay. I'm not too fond of this type of pose. But it's not the worst I've seen either. And we do have 3 of this guy. This seems to be the orc leader. Maybe king, maybe just a chieftain, who knows. He does seem to be the leader at least, and he seems to be pointing and giving orders. He should definitely switch out that blade of his though, because that looks to have seen better days. It actually looks quite useless. but maybe it's a point of pride. Like showing how many battles he's been in. Got a weird skull on the shoulder pad there. Got a large beard going all the way down here. And a bunch of skulls all around on him. And here is an orc shaman, from the looks of it. Kinda looks like he's dancing. It's part of a spellcasting thing, I guess. The staff is very cool. Yeah, not much more to say about him. Got a very nice looking cape though. A bit bedazzled. And finally, the big boy. Let's put the wings on. Not gonna push him down all the way. But yeah, this is a gargantuan demon looking guy. Seems to have 4 arms. And he looks like he's coming out of a flamey pit. And sadly, that is what makes me not like this guy. Everything else looks really good, but it feels kind of cheap to hide like a fourth of the miniature. Not too fond of that. But everything else about this demon dude looks fantastic. Not gonna say it's a super unique design. I mean, it's a very archetypical demon or devil looking guy. He's got some spikes sticking out of his shoulders and his spine. Got wings, got 4 arms, got 4 eyes, and he's got some horns. So nothing really new about any of that, but he does look cool. So yeah, I just wish that they hadn't sort of taken the short route with this one. That's what it feels like. I'm sure there is some lore to it, but yeah, I would have liked to see this guy in full glory, basically. That would be so cool. Also, he does look like he is chained to this place, but he is breaking free. So that's fun, and that is definitely a way that he could be used in a huge boss encounter. But I would like the option to choose that. That is basically the point I'm trying to make here. Either way, it's really well sculpted, and although not a very original design, it is a very cool design. And not everything needs to be original all the time. So yeah, that was super awesome. Lots of cool miniatures. I do see why I skipped it. There are a ton of miniatures here I just don't have any need for. But it would be nice to have several of the classic D&D creatures in here, and a couple of the others as well. That said, a lot of the reason I don't need a lot of these miniatures is because I already have a ton of miniatures, so there are certain things I just don't need anymore. It's not about whether they are good or bad for D&D. All of these can definitely be used for D&D. So if you can get this at a good price, I would certainly suggest that you do. And just want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little video. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one.